Welcome to the Miracle Mention podcast. My name is Marcus True. I'm head of treatment counselling and aftercare at Broadway Lodge. Wonderful place, also known as the Miracle Mansion. But today, I've got a special guest who I've been wanting to interview for a little while because he's got a pretty special story. So, just introduce yourself, my friend.
My name's Jamie and I'm so grateful to be here.
Lovely. So let's just talk about Jamie, just tell me a little bit more about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from a place called Bristol, not too far away from here.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up until about the age of 10 in Bristol with my mum and dad, 2 brothers and a sister.
Mm-hmm.
I've shared this in the arena. Up until about the age of 10, I felt quite connected with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I felt loved. I felt quite well supported.
Mm-hmm.
And around the age of 10 and a half, 11, I started to feel really hyperactive.
Okay.
And I remember I was laying in bed and thinking for things to do to get like an adrenaline kind of rush. Do you know what I mean? And I remember looking back, I started to feel disconnected in my family. I didn't feel that love anymore in my family. I didn't feel any connection with my brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like around 10 and a half, something changed in me.
Right.
And I didn't realise until I've come here that actually that was really my addicts in play. And from that moment on, up until I came here, my life has been just up and down, pure chaos.
So tell me about that period of time at home around 10 and a half. What did you start to do back then?
Well, it started off, I was laying in bed and obviously, like I said, I'd be thinking of things to do. And I thought to myself, right, I know it sounds really trivial, but I'm going to try and get downstairs without mum and dad waking up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember waiting for mum and dad to go to bed, hear them snoring. I'll creep out my bedroom, walk past, minding the floorboards as I'm walking.
No creaking.
No, it's nuts.
You know you don't want them to wake up, but you know
Exactly.
something's going to happen if they do.
And it's mad, I learnt these floorboards. You know, more times I was doing it, I learned not to walk there, not to walk there. And I remember holding my breath as I went past the room, and this buzz, adrenaline. And I get downstairs, and then I come back up, lay down, I think, yes, I've done it. And then it started escalating. It went from that to actually kind of go outside without them hearing. So then I'll go downstairs, same process, walk past my mum and dad's bedroom.
Nice
And creepy, holding my breath.
Yes.
And then I'll hold my breath to open the door, like that. And then I'll listen to see if anyone's heard it. And then I'll go outside, then I'll come back in. And then gradually, I started going out into the estate. So I'm only like 10 and a half, 11 years old. So it's gone from creeping downstairs to now going out the front door, now I'm going into the estate. And at this point, I'm not even picked up any kind of substance. It's just pure adrenaline.
Just adrenaline.
Yeah. It's pure adrenaline. And I started to mix with people on the estate.
What time of night are we talking, Jay?
We're talking 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Marcus. You know, it's crazy.
You say, you're 11 years old and you're creeping out onto the estate 2, 3 o'clock in the morning?
And there was times when my mum and dad had woken up, but they'd come in the bedroom, I'm not there. You know what I mean? What I put them through, they've had to come out looking for me in the middle of the night.
Okay, so what used to happen? What was going on in the estate?
It seemed like to me back then that people were like doing the same as me. There was like people who were like nicking cars, nicking motorbikes, some people taking solvents, things like that.
Okay.
And I started getting involved with that kind of stuff. I started doing solvents myself.
Mm-hmm.
I started glue sniffing, gas, Tipex. It was like I was always looking for the next thing. Nicking motorbikes. 11 years on, being arrested for nicking cars. You know, putting pillows on the seats to look over the window screen. So yeah.
You still that small yet to put a pillow on the seat just to
serious, just to see over the
over the dashboard,
dashboard.
Yeah.
So like I look back and I was just that changing me at 10 and a half was profound. I definitely see from that moment on, my life was just like looking for the next buzz, basically.
Okay.
And I was causing all this chaos around me. Not understanding it at the time, but so much was going on around me I didn't realise it, to be honest.
So what did mum and dad do?
Mum and dad tried their best for me, even though at the time I felt like I was being pushed out. Obviously, I learned when I was here that a lot of that was down to my behaviours, but at the time I didn't understand that.
So you thought you was being rejected by your parents?
Exactly. I thought I've been rejected by my parents. Why? Eventually they put me into children's homes. So I kind of like resented that. Why are they putting me? I didn't understand it.
Where was that? Where was the children's
It was in Bristol, about 2-3 miles away from home.
Alright, so it weren't too far.
At that point, it wasn't too far.
It wasn't too far.
But it's ironic, so I used to run away. I remember getting to the children's home and I'd be missing her. So then I'd be running away from the children's home, coming back home.
So you just got this repeat thing going on where you're running away from the children's home and then you're running away from home and then you're running away from the... Okay.
Yeah. And I'm in this children's home and I'm still doing the same stuff. I'm still nicking cars, I'm still taking solvents, I'm still taking petrol, being arrested by the police.
Okay.
Creeping out the children's home in the middle of the night like I was at home.
So what age did you go to the children's home?
I was about 12 years old.
Wow.
12. I went into 2 children's homes. I went into my first one, in about 1990 I think it was. And then I got excluded from that one.
Well, they kicked you out?
Yeah, they said my behaviour was too off-key.
Okay.
And I went back home for a little bit.
Okay.
But I continued doing what I was doing. I was still running away, still getting in trouble. So then my mum and dad put me in another children's home. So in my mind, I'm thinking, they definitely don't want nothing to do with me. I'm now in another children's home.
Right, okay. So basically, they just couldn't cope with you.
They couldn't cope with me.
What was happening with your brother and sister at the time? Was it affecting them?
Well, at the time I didn't realise it was, but looking back it was. Yeah. It was. I had this brother who at one time, when I was younger, was present in that, and now I'm just doing all what I want to do. So I was in my second children's home for about 6 months, still doing the same stuff, still committing crime, still taking drugs, still having my whole family worried about me, and I then got put into boarding school.
Where was that?
In Wiltshire, so it was about 100 miles away from home. And that was really difficult. You know what I mean? I felt, I suppose, abandoned. Is that the word? Abandoned, not loved. So I've been sent to 2 children's homes. Now boarding school, not realising at the time my part in all this stuff.
Yeah. But you wouldn't though, would you, at that point? You're a kid at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I get that.
I didn't see it.
I mean, what child would look back and say, oh, well, actually, Mum and Dad, I realise now it's my behaviour.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to be thinking like that. So what happened?
So I went to boarding school. I was about 13, 12 and a half, 13. And I struggled to start off with, to be fair. I ran away a lot. I ran away from Wiltshire. I used to walk home from Wiltshire to Bristol.
Wow.
And again, the same buzz. Early hours in the morning, walking through country roads. Laycock, Chippenham, walking back to Bristol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hearing the cars going past, hiding in the bushes. So it's that same buzz again. You know, sometimes I get caught halfway back to Bristol.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get back to Bristol and I get taken back.
Yeah.
And then I'll get consequences from the boarding school. Then I'll be in the boarding school.
Right, okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so that went on for a few months, and then I gradually started getting used to being in boarding school.
Right, okay. So you started to settle down.
I started to settle down.
What was that? What was it like in boarding school?
To start off with, it was difficult, obviously. Then I started to get into a structure.
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot.
Right, okay.
The structure of things. I was still committing crimes at home, but not as much as I was before going in there. So it started to help me quite a lot in there.
All right, so the structure and the discipline kind of helped you to settle down into the school.
Yeah, it got me. The structure was really helpful for me. But also, they've done a lot of sports and that there, so it helped me burn off energy.
Right, okay.
So I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
So you had a lot of it. Basically, you had a lot of energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you had a lot of energy.
So so that was okay for about a year. And in this boarding school, your behaviour. So basically, if you behave yourself, you progress from the juniors to the seniors. And my friend who was in the seniors said to me, "You want to get in this certain group because in this certain group, you get extra privileges. You get given alcohol, you can have cigarettes." And as a quite an inquisitive child, I wanted to get in that group.
Right, okay.
So that was my mission. I want to get in that group, so basically do what I want. That's what it was.
And they was giving you alcohol and cigarettes.
This is not at this point, not me. This other person.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of attracted to this group. I want to get into this group. So at this point, I'm in the juniors. So I'm behaving, and if I get into the seniors, I'm going to try and get into this group. His name was DJ. That's his signature. And so I eventually did progress to that group.
Right. So there was an incentive.
Yeah.
So there was an incentive. So you knuckled down to make sure you could get into that group there.
Into that group.
Cool.
and I got into it, and it was a really good achievement for me. And and it was true what my friend said. After a while, I was given cigarettes.
By who?
My care worker. It was,
How old was you then?
14.
I guess that was the way it was back then, wasn't it?
And at the time I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought he was a nice person who sort of met cigarettes. And he actually lived in the school, this person as well.
Okay.
So he would say, after a while, he said, if you want to smoke, you have to come to my flat to smoke.
Okay.
So I'd go there, and then he introduced me to alcohol.
Okay.
So
you're 14, so 14, you're at boarding school, you've progressed to this new class, you've got this care worker looking after you guys, and he's introduced you to cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at that point, I'm quite happy. I've got alcohol, I've got cigarettes, I can stay up late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
things are going.
things are going good.
Yeah.
And in a mad way, my behaviour started to get there as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of like warmed to this person.
Yeah.
Looking back, even though it was wrong to give me alcohol, I felt like he cared about me.
Yeah.
He took an interest in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to knuckle down and get on with stuff at the school.
So you found somebody that looked like they cared about you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What happened?
So that went on for a few months, and one day I went into his flat, same thing, had a cigarette, and had a drink, and whilst I was drunk, he sexually abused me. And that went on and off for about 18 months.
Okay.
And I did not know how to deal with it. Didn't know I couldn't talk to anybody at that time, that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the way it happened, looking back, it was sneaky. Do you know what I mean? It didn't just happen straight away. It happened after a period of time.
So he groomed you?
He groomed me, yeah. And it was so confusing because I loved that person as a father kind of figure.
Yeah.
It felt like, for once in my life, I was just like settling down a bit, and then that happens.
Okay. Well, how did you deal with that for 18 months?
I don't know. Drinking, taking drugs, and smoking.
And you couldn't tell your parents, you just didn't tell anybody else?
I didn't tell anybody, and how it came to light eventually, in 1996, so the year I left boarding school, he got suspended for abusing other pupils there. So over like 18 pupils were abused at my boarding school. And I remember the police interviewing everybody at the school, and he came to me and I denied it. It was like I was trying to protect him. That is, it was confusing for me.
So you had a full sense of loyalty towards him?
Even though he put me all through that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my first prison sentence, which was in '96 as well, after I left boarding school, that I chatted to a probation officer in Portland prison about it, about what happened to me.
So you kept that in, and you said nothing you kept stum. You said nothing to nobody until probably 6 years later.
A couple of years later.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think it said 1990. Okay.
No, 96. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah. So it was whilst I was in prison. My first prison sentence was in '96 as well.
Yeah.
I spoke to a probation officer about it.
What made you do that?
I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. Basically, I couldn't keep it to myself, and I just felt like this person I was chatting to seemed. He understood. This is where he was. I felt like he cared.
Yeah.
And
That's important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's important.
And I was only 16 and a half, so at the time.
Let's just track back. Let's just track back because you jump quickly to prison.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
First prison. No, that's cool. Your first prison sentence. So between 1990 and 1996, what was happening? After you left school, when you left school, what happened?
In '96 I left boarding school.
Oh right, sorry, you 96 you left boarding school.
Yeah,
sorry.
so I left boarding school. I go back home to live in Bristol.
Okay.
So the place I left,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I didn't realise it, but it's kind of a shock. I've gone back to my area, and most of my friends who I grew up with are now smoking heroin and crack. So I find myself within a few months of leaving boarding school, I'm now experimenting with heroin and crack cocaine.
Wow.
And then it took on a new level in my life. So now I've got a mixture of adrenaline, crack cocaine, and I became very, very off-key and dangerous, to be honest. And with everything that happened in boarding school as well, trying to manage that, it's hard. It's really hard. And yes, so my offending starts to escalate. Like I said, I got my first prison sentence in '96. Yeah,
Right.
'96.
You must have been like a time bomb then times, yeah.
I was.
You must have been like a time bomb. And I can't imagine adding crack cocaine to that bomb.
I know.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I remember my first prison sentence. I was quite fearful, didn't know what to expect. I've heard about young offenders, how brutal they can be. And I was kind of fearful going there. And I remember after a few weeks of getting there, it reminded me of boarding school in a way. It's a structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I soon realised that if I kept myself clean inside in my cell, I'd go to gym, they kind of left me alone. So I kind of got used to it even at that young age.
So you found a little path through that worked for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Within the structure.
In the structure.
Yeah.
So it went from fearful to actually quite, I know it's like my first prison, I was quite comfortable with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I felt,
understand that.
I felt safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a 5-month prison sentence, that was '96. And then I get out, and I remember, because you've got to remember, before this prison sentence, I've experienced on crack cocaine and heroin. I remember being in prison, not thinking about the drugs so much, but knowing deep down, as soon as I get out, I'm going to be smoking. And I did, the first day, discharge grant, straight away.
Yeah. Well, as you know now, that obsession and the compulsion.
I know, I didn't realise it at the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm using, I got the can, I remember one time I've been released, I'm getting the can ready on the train. Seriously, I can't wait.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's wild.
It's wild.
So I was smoking the first day out, and it escalated even further. I'm now starting to take massive risks. I've gone from shoplifting to burglaries. I'm now doing robberies.
Oh dear.
You know, and that's when it took on a new level for me, really.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So what's like to happen?
My sentences started to increase. I got 3 years, then I got 5 years, and each time I go to jail, the same kind of pattern happened. I would go to jail, get relatively clean, have something now and again, but to me then that's being clean. Go to the gym, get fit and well, get out, back on it again. And that's been the cycle, on and off, up until 2005, where I got an IPP sentence.
Yeah. Let's talk about that sentence. An IPP. What is that?
An IPP sentence. Well, this is the thing. When I first got it, I got a 4-year tariff. I thought I'll be out in 4 years' time. So usual Jamie, go to jail, keep my head down, go to the gym. 4 years come, don't get out. 6 years, 8 years. I ended up doing 13 years in prison. It's basically an indeterminate prison sentence. Where
it's an indeterminate sentence for public protection, they say.
That's right.
So what they do is they deem you as dangerous, a prolific offender, and they give you a sentence, a minimum sentence. But what you don't know at the time is you've got to jump through hoops, and more hoops to get out.
Yeah.
But most people don't know. I remember back in the day when they were giving out IPPs. I remember people back in the day used to say, "Yeah, I got an IPP like it was like it was street credible." It was only when they weren't getting out that people started to really see what that sentence was about.
Yeah. But but to have my pass as well puts on a new level, because like you said, you had to prove that you're no longer a danger. With my pass, it was kind of an impossible task.
Yeah.
to kind of do. You know what I mean?
How are you going to prove that in jail?
Exactly. It's hard, especially and to be fair, even though I was relatively doing alright in prison, I was still dabbling in prison.
Drugs still available?
Yep,
You
still
can
drugs.
use?
I still use. But I thought, I'm not doing heroin and crack, I'm doing a bit of subby, so I'm okay.
Right.
That was my thinking.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Obviously it's not, but at that point I didn't realise it.
So you get a 4-year sentence, and year 13
I've done a 13.
is when you'll get. So what's happened? You was going to parole and that was knocking you back. You was going to parole and that was knocking you back.
It was, but some of that's my own part as well, which I've learned in rehab.
Tell me what happened.
You know, I'm in prison, but I'm still dabbling. But I'm also I'm telling the professionals and that everything's okay. I'm not being honest, Marcus. I'm not being honest with people around me, and I thought I could do this on my own self-will and that kind of stuff. And the more I got knocked back, the more I resented it.
Okay.
It become that kind of cycle.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I'll go on a parole hearing. They would then say, you need to do these courses by the next hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll get transferred to another prison, do them courses, they then will say, you don't need to do them anymore. So it was really hard, yeah, the sentence was really hard, but also I had my part to play in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was describing earlier when I was younger, my behaviours have been off key, and even though I settled a little bit in prison, they were still off key to certain points. I was still getting involved with fights. I was still selling drugs here and there.
Okay.
So I've got myself to blame for some of that as well. I was put into 8 cat prisons for fighting, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
So that sentence must have been hard.
It was really hard. I thought, to be fair, I'll never get out. And I eventually did get out
Okay.
in 2017. And
What happened?
I thought I've done all the courses in prison. I'll be okay when I get out. And I was using within a couple of days. After 13 years in prison. That's the insanity of what I'm dealing with here.
So what happened? When did they put you into a hostel, bail hostel? Did you go back home? What happened? Where was
Ironically, I went into a hostel where
Right.
I'd been in before when
Okay.
I was in active addiction. So yeah, I went from comfortable.
In Bristol?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Bristol, a place called St Paul's in Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Shout out to St Paul's.
Yeah, shout out.
Love St Paul's.
I knew people in there as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming them, but it was very difficult for me in there.
Mm.
Very difficult. I'm around some people I know from the past.
Yeah.
It wasn't long before I'm smoking crack again and
Yeah.
heroin. I did not know, Marcus, looking back, how to live life, especially in an environment like that.
Mm. And it's pretty impossible to live life in an environment like that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You've got little to no chance of really surviving if you're an addict
Yeah.
of the type that you are and I am. So it's going to be you've got to be taken out of that environment. So what happened? Back to jail?
Yeah, it's before jail, I'm using crack and heroin again, and it's like my thinking's gone back to completely the same to what it was 13 years ago. Just like that. So I've done all them courses, and there I am again, in the same kind of situation, and I'm taking risks again, and I end up committing another crime. Whilst on IPP licence, I ended
No
up,
way.
yeah, I got an EPP on top of my IPP, 11 years on top. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, when I got that sentence, that is it, Jamie, you're never getting released. But it's conflicting, because at that point as well, I remember being in Cardiff prison, and I remember thinking to myself, I can't do this anymore. But I come to my own conclusion of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I thought as well, there's a possibility you're not going to get out. That was a hard time.
Was that hard mentally?
It was, because I got to that point as well. I now know I'm starting that process of surrendering,
Yeah.
but that was on my own. Not the courses, not drug workers, that was me. I've tried every way to use, and I can't do it, because every time I do it, it ends up the same or worse.
Yeah.
And trust me, I've tried every way possible, even a life sentence. It doesn't work.
So you get 11.
I get 11 years on top, and yeah, I remember the judge saying it's not down to me whether you're released or not, it's down to the parole board. And I just remember thinking, how have I done on the IPP sentence? There's a possibility I'm never going to see the light of day again.
No, I can't even imagine. I think you already know, but I used to do another job within this job here, working with IPPs, and just the lack of hope going to those parole board hearings, and I'd write the best report for them, and and some of them got out, and within a month they're back in. See, it was just like, and sometimes they hadn't even done anything. It was just like a parole board violation, but they hadn't actually committed a crime. It was wild.
It's hard.
I can't even anyway. So what happens next? You got to knuckle down.
Yeah, so
You've hit your rock bottom.
ironically, yes, I've hit my rock bottom, and I've got the possibility of never getting out. So I was kind of gutted. I was feeling, I've had enough, and that's the first time it's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I've gone from Jamie, 100 miles an hour since I was 10 years old, to actually think, I can't do this anymore. Do you know what I mean? So I basically ended up spending another 6 years in prison from that time in Cardiff. I had my ups and downs. Even though I had enough, I still struggled. I still was using now and again.
Yeah.
I still struggled with that. And I eventually progressed through the system into a DCAT prison, Lay Hill prison. And I was still using what I didn't want to use.
Using against your will.
Against my will. But I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm in prison, and IPP, and I'm EPP. What do I do? And to be fair, I was scared to chat to the staff. So I felt like if I chat to them, I'll never really get out.
Yeah. Busted.
I'm busted.
Yeah.
So a friend said to me, when you're on your day release, why don't you go and talk to a DHI, basically a local drug service? They got peers and that there. So I thought, what have I got to lose? So on a day release, I spoke to a peer. And I just said to him, I'm struggling, I'm still taking Subutex in prison. And he spoke to me like he understood what I was saying, like he was on a level. Do you know what I mean? I just felt warm to him.
Yeah.
And from that, I got referred to a drug worker at DHI, whose name means so much to me, this drug worker.
Shout him out.
Shout out to Danny. Yes, Danny.
Danny, shout out. Honourable mention to
Yes,
Danny.
mate, definitely.
Love Danny.
Love Danny. So I briefly went in and seen Danny, whose name was drug worker. He said that he would come and visit me in Lay Hill prison, and the man to his word, he came to see me in Lay Hill prison. And I was chatting to him about my life like I have to you, and that. And then he said, have you ever thought about going to rehab? And I said, no. So he talked a bit about what rehab was, and even though he talked about it, I didn't really know deep down what it was. I know it's something to do with drugs, things like that. But I didn't know what I know now, basically. And I ended up getting funding when I was in Lay Hill. I was so grateful. But like I said, I was still dabbling.
Yes.
And then what happens is, it gets even madder. I get chucked out of Lay Hill.
What?
Yeah. So I lose my funding.
Oh yeah, yes.
I lose my funding. Yeah. Like I told you, it's that time. I didn't want to use, didn't know not how to stop. So even though I was seeing Danny in that, I was still taking Subutex in Lay Hill. I had to get a drug test, and then unfortunately I was transferred out.
Yeah, I think where did you go? Dartmouth?
I went to Dartmouth. Before going to Dartmouth, I went to Bristol.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I remember getting to the reception cell, and I heard knock on the door, and it was Danny, my drug worker. Because he also works in the prisons as well.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Looking back, that meant so much. Like he took the time out to come to my room, and he just said to me, because he knew my situation. Also, my mum was ill with cancer. He said, "Listen, mate, go back to Dartmoor, keep your head down, start being honest, go on a script." I've never gone on a script before. I always tried to do it my way.
Yeah.
And I'll still support you. That kind of like touched me. It touched me a lot. Like someone's gone out their way to like help me. And so I went back to Dartmoor, and he was a man of his word. He kept in contact. I'd done what he suggested. I got a script. I started going to fellowship meetings whilst in Dartmoor prison. Become a mentor in prison. And
what?
Yeah, I become a mentor for education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Amazing. And I reapplied for funding to go to rehab. And lucky enough, I got funding.
He gave it to you again.
He gave it to me again, which I'm so grateful and lucky that happened.
Yeah, no, God bless Danny. I remember I was speaking to Danny about you, and we obviously, because we got a Broadway connection, and Danny was like, "Marcus, trust me, this brother's done."
Yeah.
And I remember he was saying, and I was like, "Danny, because these IPPs, we've never had a success with an IPP. It always goes tits up." And he was like, "Marcus, listen to me, bruv, he's done.
Yeah.
Trust me, he's done." And I was like, "All right then, cool.
Yeah.
I hear you." So, and I remember the morning because he phoned me in the morning and said he was going to pick you up and everything.
That's right.
He went down to the thingy and picked you up and brought you back, and you come and said, "What happened?"
But just before that though, so I got to go on a parole hearing. So I get the funding.
Yeah.
I know I have to go on a parole hearing and convince the parole board
Yes.
to be released.
Yeah.
And my experience in the past with the parole board, even though it's a lot of me, it was kind of negative experience with the parole board. So do you know what? I went on the parole board and I just told them the truth. I told them my struggle. I did not know how to live life. And as I said that to them, I've got a clue, and I'm given the opportunity to rehab. And I was just honest to them. And you know what? They give me that opportunity. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am grateful to a parole board for giving me that chance.
Honourable shout out to that particular parole board.
Definitely, yeah, to that particular one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, on the 12th of September, Danny came to Dartmoor prison. I was released, met by Danny and my drug worker, Millie, shout out to Millie, who also helped me at Dartmoor. Yeah, then Sue was at the gate waiting for me. And do you know what then, Mark? I remember, this is the first time basically I've been drug free on the outside. And I didn't know what to do. You know, I was grateful to be out, but my heart was going, I was anxious.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know what to do with myself, man. And so I got into Danny's car, and I remember driving through the moors with him. And with chats, feeling so grateful. And we stopped at a shop on the way.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the shop, just looking, thinking, oh my God, I didn't know what to do with myself. I remember just grabbing something randomly just to get out of the shop. Seriously. I did not know how to communicate with people properly. I didn't know how to be, basically. It was so uneasy.
Yeah. So, you get to Broadway Lodge.
I get to Broadway Lodge. So I'm trying to visualise what to expect. And I couldn't, I was very nervous. I remember getting into the GB unit, which is the detox part of the rehab. And I remember, the first thing that stands out for me is that I remember saying to one of the nurses, hello miss. And I remember being said, no, my name's Joe or Dale, it's not miss. And I didn't realise even my communication was so institutionalised. I didn't realise this until I got to the detox. And I remember I had to be reminded for over a month. This was going on, seriously. I kept doing it all the time. So I was so institutionalised, I didn't realise it, to be fair. So I detoxed off my Subtext whilst I was down on the detox on the unit. And it's funny, did you remember as well? Yeah, I've never lived life without drugs. And suddenly, there's girls. There's girls as well. And I'm like, you might remember this one.
Yeah, of course I remember, bruv.
There
was one particular girl.
There's one particular girl that really come on to me, and I just did not know how to deal with it. And I remember speaking to someone, and next minute we're in a room chatting about the situation. And this is something I've never done. I've never really chatted about how I feel. And then suddenly I'm in a group room setting, having to chat to this girl about how I'm feeling. You know, that was new to me, so that stands out to me. Yeah.
So, hold on, listen, honestly, I remember it was while man has just come out of prison, he's just got into rehab, and he's got this woman all over him. Yeah. And he didn't know how to deal with it.
But one thing I did know, I can't do it, I've got to stay safe. I want to do this. I've had enough of that life.
And that was when, if I'm honest with you, I remember it well. When the fact that you had been in prison for that long, that you didn't act out, and you made it very, very clear to her that you wasn't interested, and that you was here just to get your life back and sort your life out. So we was like, what? This, and I phoned Danny, I'm not even gonna lie. I phoned Danny and I was like, bruv, you was right. This brother is damn serious. Because I don't know how you did that. I don't even know how you did that after all that time in jail where you said no. But it was clear that at that moment we knew what time it was with you.
But Marcus, that's the start of it, because as you probably know, there's a lot of occasions similar where I've been confronted where old Jamie would have reacted in a completely different way.
Yes.
And I remember going into group when I moved up to the big house, and a few occasions I've had to hold on to my seat because I so wanted to get up and confront these people and fight them. Basically, I did not know how to deal with life.
Yeah.
It's around this time that I started to realise, that Jamie, this ain't the drugs, and this is you. I didn't have a clue how to live. You know, and I'm trying to, at the beginning of being at Broadway, I didn't know how to communicate with people, I did not know how to behave. I felt so awkward sometimes. Yeah.
It was, you know what, it was like, to be honest with you, it was like having a kid from infant school. That's what it was like. But you were so like, not even being disrespectful, you were so green and so wide-eyed, and everything was just like, it was literally like you just landed in the world, and we had to help you and teach you different things, and I'll never forget he was always kind of like enthusiastic and wanting to learn. But we never really, to be honest with you, we never really, after that first incident, really, we never worried about you. We just knew that we had to teach you. An honourable shout out to Carvin, because
Carvin, he was, that was so much.
He was definitely the right counsellor for you, and we just had to just almost like re-educate you and train you and let you understand what it is to be in recovery and what it is to acknowledge your feelings and share those feelings without aggression, without anger and that kind of stuff. It was okay to be angry, but we're not really dealing with that aggression stuff, and we did it well.
Thank you, Mike. And I think the massive difference for me, where I haven't been able to do it in prison, doing the courses, is because that's theory. I was never given the opportunity to be able to do it in real life.
Yes.
And I felt like from that first moment, then detox in there, I had a situation, and you kind of basically put it on me to deal with it in front of the person, which I've never done this stuff before.
Yeah.
So that's the start of me, starting to tell you how I feel, rather than reacting how I usually react. You know, and that happened a few times. I remember moving up to the big house, and there was a really angry person there, and I remember in my head thinking, this person, I really want to confront this person. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not on about in a civil way.
I know.
I'm on about
aggression,
violence,
yes,
in a violent kind of way. And I remember talking to my counsellor about it. I didn't realise he was going to do this, but anyway, I chatted to my counsellor. About an hour later, he said, I need to see you in the chapel. I go in the chapel, and the kiddie's in there. My heart sank. So I've gone from wanting to fight this person to now, I can't, I don't know what to do, don't know what to expect. My feelings were all over the place. But
you have to talk it out.
I had to talk it out. So again, like it did with the girl down the GB unit, I now have to talk to this person about how I'm feeling. I've never done this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. At the time it was so uncomfortable. But looking back, it's helped me grow so much as a person.
Yeah. And you know what? That girl, little does she know, but she was a game changer for you in a way that she would never have realised. Because we had to get you to face and deal with your feelings literally within 2 days.
Within 2 days?
Yeah.
My head was all over the place looking at prison.
Yeah, within 2 days we had to teach you straight away. Bruv, you don't have to tell her how you feel. Yeah. Like, Marcus, I can't do that. No.
Yeah, that's what it was like.
Yeah, I can't. Bruv, you don't have to tell her how you feel. Sorry. But what that did is that set a little pattern in your brain that made you realise, actually, if I say how I feel, it calms the brain down. Yeah. And then although your anxiety and your fear, you didn't know what to do, you did it, so then you got through it. So it lands in your memory, so it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
And that's happened to me. That happened to me multiple times when I was here. A lot of times. It was really difficult. Really, really difficult for me. Yeah. Something I've never done in my life. I've done all the stuff, worksheets and things like that. Yeah. But I never knew how to do it in my actions. Yeah. It wasn't until I've come here. Yeah. They've taught me how I can do it in real life situations. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Taught how to do it in real life situations. 100%. It's not just a paper exercise. Although you do some writing work, but then that writing work has got to be into action. Yeah. So cool. Tell everybody about the time when you went down. I'll never forget the story you told me about the time when you went to the gym and you ran in there and because you're so. So like in prison, obviously I've only been to the gym in prison. I love going to the gym. Yeah. I've done 26 years of prison. I do love going to the gym, and I usually in the gym in prison. If I want to wait, I run over and just get it. I'm not really caring, to be fair, about it. I just get it and run back and use it. And I remember a few months being at Broadway, I joined a gym when I got into secondary, which is a brilliant thing I was able to do whilst at Broadway. I remember going into the gym, and my first thought was, you need to just run over and get the weights. I felt so out of place in that gym. Looking back, it's helped me so much actually going there. It did talk me about slowing down a bit. Yeah, but my initial thing was to run over and tell myself, Jamie, you need to walk over and ask for the weights. But there's loads of times that's happened where I wanted to run over and take it without asking. But I didn't. I managed to stop myself. And I'll never forget when you told me that story. I didn't even think of it, but the story was just like, oh yeah, well of course he would have done that. That's what he's used to do. Exactly. That's what he's used to doing, and having to
properly slowed down. I thought, I love that story. I love that story.
And then I bought a mountain bike.
Yeah.
I bought a mountain bike.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I've never in my life purchased anything at my own money. So it's like a massive achievement to be able to save £40 and get my friend to help me purchase a mountain bike.
Mm.
The next thing was, I need to go to the place to get it. And I can remember panicking over it, thinking, what am I going to say to this person? You know, I'm even thinking about how I'm going to walk down the path to get it. I was really obsessively thinking about it. And I remember the day coming, it was in Wales, not too far from here. I got a taxi down. I remember my heart racing, man. Racing. I got out the taxi and I remember walking towards the front door and I was pooing myself, man. Seriously, looking back, it's horrendous, but that's how I felt. You know, I've never done life before without being on something. And I've never been honest even. So here I am, I've got my own money. I knock on the front door and she said, good morning, you come for the bike. And that was it. I don't know what they were expecting, but in my mind I built up to a massive task. You know what I mean? And
because you've never lived life.
I've never lived life.
So
I remember giving her the money and I kind of felt good.
Yeah.
But I got my own bike here.
Yeah.
You know
Sense of achievement.
Sense of achievement.
Yeah.
And I remember bringing it back to here, man. I felt so like proud to be able to ride it back to here and park it outside the front entrance. Yeah. So that was really good. And that enabled me to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And start going out a bit more on my own when I got into secondary.
Yeah. Well, you're trusted them times, isn't it? You're trusted now, so we're not watching that. You're able to go out freely, and you know you've got obviously the program here, but we've got to trust you to go out and do those things, and we did.
You know, I was like a little baby, man. Little steps. So even like getting the bike, I had to learn. I had to do it. It's like I've had to learn life. It's what Broadway's helped me with, to learn how to live life. Learn how to talk, learn how to just be. You know, my life was completely the opposite before.
Yeah, nice. That's wicked. So, you've done 6 months here, haven't you? So
6 months.
Completed successfully.
Yeah.
What have you been doing since you left, Jay?
So before I left, this is quite an important thing, I like to stress. I went to a dry house, but not only a dry house, a really nice, strong recovery dry house in Western, and I didn't rush into it. I looked at a few dry houses, and I went into a dry house in Western. It was a massive thing for me because old Jamie would want to go straight back to my area, thinking I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I knew that everything had to change.
That's dead. That was dead for you.
That's what this place taught me as well. Everything had to change. Not just put the drugs down. It's everything. Where I live, who I talked, mixed with, everything has to change. So I left here on the 12th of March and went to a dry house in Weston. And that was great. That was great going there. I'm still there now actually.
Lovely.
So 9 months on. And what happened after I left here, going back to Danny, and then I shouted at Danny, he asked me, do I want to go back and do some voluntary work to where that mentor, when I first went to DHI, helped me. And obviously I said yes straight away because he's helped me so much.
Absolutely.
And I started going back to the drug services, voluntary, tiering. Then he asked me, will I like to become a mentor there? So I trained to be a mentor. And I've been going back there doing mentoring. I help run groups, prep to change. I also go into the approved premises, the hostels, and share my experiences and support other people who might be going through similar things.
So now so what you're saying to me, now you're going into places, approved premises,
Approved APs.
With people that are on license,
life license,
IPPs, just coming out of prison, sharing your experience. And I'll tell you what, those people will listen to you.
Yeah.
Trust me, they will listen to you because they know that you've been there, done it, and you know what you're talking about.
Marcus, ironically, I've even been back to prison.
Tell me about it, bro.
I went back to prison, man. I can't believe it. So basically, Danny again, he said, James, I just want to let you know, I've written to the governor at Bristol Prison.
It's not Hawthorne.
Hawthorne Prison in
Bristol.
Because we got a recovery event coming up and we want you to share it. So I've written to the governor to try and get you clearance. In my head, I'm thinking, no, they ain't going to have me back in, not with my past. A few weeks go by and I get a phone call of Danny saying the governor wants you back in.
Wow.
So I got a pass to go back into Hawthorne Prison.
And that's no easy situation to do, you know. Shout out to Danny, he's got to pull strings, and because they've got to make sure that it's safe for you to go back in without you carrying on with foolishness in the jail.
Yeah. And I went to a recovery event there basically, and I remember doing a share. And it's kind of ironic thinking like, God, I spent so much of my life in these places. And here I am, you know, sharing to people in similar kind of circumstances I've been in the past. You know, and I've done a share up in the same prison for H&I, the fellowship. I've done shares in that as well. Yeah, it's amazing things have happened since I've left here.
Cool.
Amazing things.
And I know, I remember you celebrated your 12 months, 1 year.
Yeah.
Big things.
Yeah, amazing. I'm one of them people, I couldn't get a day clean. Never in my life up until I've come here could I stay clean. And the key thing for me is I thought it was the drugs. I thought it was the drugs, and I always blamed other people. When actual matter of fact, it's actually me and my thinking and behaviour. What's that to change?
Yeah.
Basically.
We your name gets mentioned every now and again, and everybody is just filled with immense pride. I can't even tell you, it's just like, wow.
Oh, thank you.
You know, that's why when you come in this morning, everybody, if I'm honest, I put an email out. I said, Jamie, I put an email out last night, told him what time you're coming, and everybody's going to come and see. Because we know that without this, you'd be in jail. Simple as that. We know. But we really appreciate that somebody like you will fly the flag for us and say, you know, Broadway rehab change.
But also, Broadway's helped me as well, Marcus. Rebuild relationships with my family.
Yeah.
Be present for my nephews. My brother, a couple of months ago, asked me to look after his kids when he went on holiday. That had never happened.
What?
Seriously, my brother and his wife, for the first time since they've had children, went on holiday on their own. And I looked after his children. That would never, ever happen. And do you know what? I'm grateful that I was able to do that.
Wow.
And have that trust, because, you know, you would never trust me in the past. You know, my dad's poorly at the moment, so I'll be able to be present for my dad. Be there for people, do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm grateful, man, that I can do that today.
You've done amazing.
Thank you.
I can't even express, it's hard to really quantify how well you've done. Thank you for coming and sharing at the reunion. The share was bad. So we had our 50th this year. Jamie shared main stage up there and told his story. And do you know what? There was one person who was actually there that was absolutely gobsmacked when he saw you, because he works for the Crime Prosecution Service at Bristol. He remembers you. I went out for dinner with him on Saturday with his wife, who's my business partner, and he mentioned you by name. He said to me, "How's Jamie doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean, how's Jamie doing?" And he said, "Yeah, I know Jamie." And he even mentioned the judge, which judge sent me down on one of your sentences, and he was, "Yeah, I remember we got an IP, blah, blah, blah." And this barrister was gobsmacked, and he said he's like a secret reporter for a local newspaper. He wrote a report, because what he does is because he works for the Crime Prosecution Services, he tends to send people down. He never sees what happens on the other side. He never sees good news, and he was literally blown away. He was shocked that you were sitting on the stage sharing your story. It blew him away. Yeah. Blew him away. So yeah, no, I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man. And do you know what? Yeah, I talk about all them uncomfortable situations. You know, when I was put in the room and encouraged to talk about how I felt, even though, you know, all them situations are so uncomfortable, but they become such a blessing for me now. You know what I mean? I'm more able now to talk about how I'm feeling. Yeah. And also, you know, I was so hyperactive in my life. This place also helped me slow down, not to go on my first thoughts. Enabled me to take that split second back.
Yeah, just pause.
Pause. And you know what? I've never been able to do that. Seriously, man. So yeah, I'm thankful. I remember, you know, a few times where I've been running through the corridor and one of my counsellors would say, "Slow down, Jamie, slow down." And it used to irritate me, but you know, again, looking back, it's helped me so much. And I'm so grateful to Broadway Lodge for that, man.
Well, Jamie, all I can say is we're grateful to Danny, we're grateful for you coming through here. We're grateful for you flying the flag of Broadway. we're grateful for you recommending people to come here and other people coming here, of course, because we know that you've done that. We're just grateful because it's that. Those people that are recommending and actually embodying what we deliver here and showing that it works, and you're just showing that. So.
Oh, thanks, man. Do you know what as well, man? I'll be forever grateful for Broadway Lodge to help me transform, because that's what it is. It's transformed my life.
Yeah, well, that's actually
transformed my life.
That's what it actually says. Broadway Lodge. That's a
miracle. They talk about miracle mansion. Trust me, it's a miracle that I'm here. Right?